let's look at another aspect of calibration. I'm looking for 2 volunteers. And this is a very, very simple calibration exercise. Yes, please, Evie. Sorry, thank you very much. What I'd like us to do is just to notice any sort of changes that we can see and notice, if you like. See if you can stand there. So, this is how this goes. I'm going to ask you to think about, both of you, somebody that you like. Somebody that you really, really like. Yeah. And when you found this person, I'd like you to get as strong a representation of this person as you possibly can. Yeah? And then when you have that strong representation of that person and you're thinking about that person, I'd like you to amplify it. And if necessary, amplify it further. So the interpretation or the representation rather of that feeling, what you see, what you hear, what you feel when you think of that person is as strong as it can be. Okay? So first of all, select somebody. Don't have to say anything to us. Just select somebody that fits that bill. Don't have to give it away, especially if it's somebody in this room. Okay? Try it on. Sifi?
Yes, sir.
Great. So, what I'm going to ask you to do, first of all, Sifi, if I could, I'd like everybody to watch, please, and to calibrate what you can. I would like you now to really concentrate and think about that person and allow that representation to grow. Any visuals, any auditories, any kinesthetics, thinking about that person.
I feel like the pressure's on now, it's gone away.
And when you allow that to build and grow inside you, then amplify it. Amplify it more and more. And what I'd like you to do now, in a second, is to count down from 10 down to 1. And as you do so, I'd like you to be thinking about that person.
So say it out loud.
Counting out aloud, I'd just like you to be thinking about that person. Okay? Allow the representation to grow, to amplify, and when it's really amplified, counting down from 10 to 1.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, great. Okay, shake it off. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
I had a protein shake.
Protein.
Mhm.
What colour was it?
Shake. Pink.
Can you remember it this morning?
Yes.
And if you did you hold it in your hand?
Yes, did.
Can you visualise that?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
I can taste it.
And how did it taste?
Like bananas and strawberries and almonds.
Lovely. Okay. What I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to think of somebody that you really don't like.
Okay, done.
You don't have to say who it is, especially if it's somebody in this room. So you've got somebody. Okay, good. We're going to do the same thing. What I'd like you to do is to allow an internal representation of that person to grow. As you think about that person, any visuals, any auditories, any kinesthetics. And I'd like you to, once you have that internal representation, to amplify it. Amplify it some more. And again, I'm going to ask you to count down from 10 to 1 out aloud. And as you do so, keep this internal representation, keep it amplified in your own time.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, great. And shake it off. Shake it off is something that we're going to be speaking a lot of over the next few days. So, good shake. Okay, not strictly necessary. But
Why?
why indeed? So what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to choose one of those two,
Okay.
and I'd like you to allow the internal representation to grow. And when you're ready in your own time, allowing that internal representation to amplify, I'd like you to count from 10 to 1 again. But you choose who the person is.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. So, which person? Hands up for number 1. Hands up for number 2. Who says number 1? Somebody says number 1. What brings you to the conclusion of number 1 specifically?
Much slower, making it last longer. For me, that was something I wanted to stay with.
Okay. So the counting was slower, lasted longer. Okay.
Well, when she first started counting down, she got to 5 and she was smiling, and
Mm-hmm.
then she started getting slower, and like I felt like she just changed the person in her mind.
Yeah.
But like, so I got a bit confused. But I still think it's number 1 because I'm pretty sure she's thinking of that person.
Okay. So, something to say?
I saw her eyes were looking down at number 1.
Okay.
Feelings.
Okay.
More, and the second one was like more straight, like. That's what I saw.
So the eyes looking down,
More, yeah, she was smiling.
smiling.
But then the second half of the countdown was a bit more.
Focus.
Yeah, a bit focused.
More. How so specifically focused?
Not as happy as the first 5 seconds.
Happy. How happy specifically? What was happy? What brings you to the conclusion of the word happy specifically?
Smile.
A smile. Okay, great.
When she got to notification, although she made her face go more passive with both of them, there was a softness in her face with number 1 that she had again when she did the second exercise, when she did with number 2.
Okay. How many people think it was number 2? What leads you to that conclusion?
Facial expression. In as much as, but I know someone else said when she got to number 5, it seemed like she smiled again. I don't know if that was just kind of nerves, feeling a bit silly about having to stand and count down. But I just felt the overall facial expression, the lack of a smile, her face seemed to drop a little bit. So I thought it was number 2.
Okay, good.
When she was counting down, the tone in her voice was as annoyed as when she said number 2 at the beginning. Not annoyed, like it had this kind of angry undertone, and that's how it came across to me. When she was counting down the second person, the one she doesn't like, compared to what she just did.
So you say angry tone. How
Yes.
would you describe that?
I don't know, but the way she said it out, the counting down, it sounded to me like slow paced and
Slow.
getting annoyed.
Annoyed.
I don't know.
How would you
like-
describe annoyed?
I don't know, like it's harder.
Harder.
When she
Yes.
sounded more tense.
Hard,
Tense.
tense.
Yes.
So what doesn't give us much information is words like angry or annoyed. What is it that leads you to that conclusion? So that's specifically tense, for example. Yes.
When she was counting down, that she disliked, her hands were clenching, open and closing.
Okay.
It's
Very good.
harder.
Very good calibration.
It's harder to because she had those bad feelings,
Sure.
which she feels unconsciously, and it's harder then to control her consciousness to count from 10 to 1. So that's why it's getting slower. And from another point of view, maybe when you have bad emotions, for her it was harder to switch it switch those off quickly and go back to number 1. That's why she stayed probably
Okay.
with the second option.
A lot of content going on here. So specifically, what was it you were noticing?
Well, facial expression, of course.
What was that facial expression specifically?
Well, her eyes, her face. It was similar to number 2, which
Okay.
was the person that she disliked. It wasn't like she was, when she said, like, okay, this is number 2, she counted to 1. And then it wasn't a change at all in her face, like, okay, I'm back to number 1 now.
So what was it that you were noticing in the face? With number 2, for example.
Well, no smile, eyes.
Okay.
A bit of annoyance, like
Annoyance
breathing.
how specifically? What is annoyance? What were you noticing?
with lips, something like that. Yeah, you can really
And
see.
how were the lips
Like
specifically?
tense and
Tense. Okay, there we go. Tense lips. Good. Very good.
I couldn't see any facial expressions or physical, but I just listened to the countdown, and
Uh-huh.
the 1 sounded like the same one as the one you didn't like. Just when you got to number 1.
Okay.
For me, that was just all about number 1.
And then
Great.
just a narrowing of the eyes as well, definitely makes
Narrowing of the
yeah,
eyes.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
That's
just
good.
like, yeah.
Good calibration.
More closed.
Closed.
Shoulders.
1 or 2?
More closed, so it means she was talking about something that wasn't that pleasant.
Defensive.
So specifically, what you noticed was the shoulders being
Yes,
closed.
Yes, with more
Oh,
body,
mhm.
more like this, not that closed.
Okay.
Not so relaxed.
So
and,
not as open.
yes.
She had crossed arms as well.
Stand up.
Yeah, she had crossed arms and she was shaking with her right leg a bit.
When was she doing that?
Both times when she was talking about the person that she didn't like, she was shaking a bit her right leg.
Okay, so you're correct, of course.
The shaking there could have been she was in a stress position.
Okay, well, again, this is, what you noticed was the shaking of the leg, yeah.
Yeah, but that was interpreted by somebody as one thing, and
Uh-huh.
interpreted as a stress position.
And we're not interpreting it, we're noticing it,
Yeah.
absolutely. One
I
pass.
don't think it's what she did, but what she didn't do. It's like,
Okay, this is miserable.
because I kind of, it's not what she did, it's what she stopped doing. I think I calibrated her before because I've seen her here, and I gather that she her feelings are very important to her, and when you talk about pleasant things, she takes her time, she really sees them, but when you talk about things she doesn't like, she went straight to the point. She didn't hesitate.
Okay, so when she was talking about the person that she didn't like,
Which I think is step 2.
what did you notice specifically?
I didn't notice that.
What did you notice?
What did I notice?
Yeah.
She was very prompt. She was very concise in her expression.
Good.
But when she's the person that she likes,
Uh-huh.
and every time you mention something she likes, she's visual, she sees it, she giggles. But in this case, she was straight to the point.
Okay, visual see it. Okay, what did you notice? Visual see it. What did you actually notice?
The eyes.
The
She,
eyes.
as I said, when she likes something, she accesses it. Yeah, she sees it,
I
and then she moves into kinetic. She feels it. But in this one, it's more.
Again, away from content, specifically, yes, the eyes. We can notice the eyes and where the eyes are going. That's a calibration.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Suki, thank you very much. Take a seat.
What's the answer?
Yes, what is the answer?
Number 2 was
Num-
Yes.
Number 2. Thank you very much. Thank you. Troy, this is what we're going to do.
Same thing.
We're going to do exactly the same thing. So first of all, Troy,
talks about the
you've identified the person that you like.
like
So what I'd like you to do, here we go, let's see what we can notice. Allow the representation to grow. Allow it to grow, and when it's grown, amplify it. So good, amplified representation of the person that you like. And then in your own time, counting down aloud from 10 to 1, keeping the interpretation alive.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay? Now, shake it off. Shake it off. Shake it off. What did you have for breakfast?
Chicken sandwich.
Chicken sandwich, how was it? Good. Yeah, good. Just chicken?
Chicken bacon.
Making good. Any letters?
Yep.
Yep, good stuff, good stuff. Okay. Nearly lunchtime, so that's very valuable information. We'll see if anyone goes out and buys that, see if the suggestion is actually working in the group. And now, of course, I'd like you to have that representation of the person that you're not so keen on. You have this person?
Yep.
So, again, in your own time, allow the representation to grow. Allow it to grow, and then amplify. Amplify. Allow time for the representation to really, really grow. And once it has really grown, and it's amplified, counting down from 10 to 1.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. You can definitely shake that one off. Shake off. Okay. So now I'd like you to choose one of those, without saying us who, and then I'd like you to count down from 10 to 1, allowing the representation to grow. And when it's grown, amplify it. And as you count, keep the representation alive.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Right? Very much. And, shake it off. Okay, so which was it? Number one. Who says number one? Okay. Who says number two? Who says number two? Okay. Okay. Say number two. What specifically leads you to believe it's number two?
Because the first time he did the two, when he did the one, he looked down once, and when he did the two, he looked down twice, and then he looked down about 3 or 4 times. That's the one.
Okay, so noticing, looking down. Number ones? Okay, number ones.
Complete look of distaste, like you didn't even want to think about the person on number two.
Look of distaste, how
Well,
specific?
just the way he held his mouth, his
How
eyes.
How did he hold?
Well, his mouth was sort of quite tight. There was no softness
mouth.
about his face, and his eyes, like sort of, kind of, looked quite angry and distasteful.
Did
Like he
swallow
didn't want,
it
like he didn't, yeah.
Okay.
And there was sort of like a lot more movements around the neck, like he didn't want to think that that person wanted to shake it off.
Okay, a little bit of content there. So
Yeah,
again,
but-
what around the neck did you notice?
Well, there was a lot more sort of tightness in shaking the head and
Tightness and shaking the head.
twitching of the shoulders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. What else? Anybody?
I thought it was to do with the directionality of his gaze when he was talking about the person that he liked. He was looking this way, and he was also grouping the numbers together when he was counting. When we were talking about the person that you didn't like, I felt that you were looking the other way, almost like you had like a good person and a bad person either side of you.
Okay. Interesting. Good calibration. Anybody else? Yes.
I just noticed the difference between 1 and 2 was because I could see this one side of your jaw, there was such a tension in your jaw that it looked
Tense
quite
jaw.
different.
Yeah.
And then it came back, it looked as if it was the first one because of that.
Okay. Good. Anybody else? Yes.
The difference between 1 and 2 is that the first one, he's kind of kinetic, he felt it in his mouth, and then
Describe what that
when
specifically was.
Not just now, and previously, when you asked him both, you ask him to think about a person he likes, and I felt that he moved his mouth like he almost tested that person, like in a nice way.
Okay, let's not get too much into this. Is where we avoid content.
It's like when you're eating a nice way. And in the second one, the negative person, he visualized it. Well, the person he doesn't like. He went up. He accessed visual memory.
So
he sees the
movement.
person. Yeah.
Okay. So visual.
With his hands, like the third one, he was like stroking a little bit, like with his thumb. Sorry, it's very precise. It was like stroking this area, so it was like very gentle and yeah.
Okay. So which person do you think it was? Yeah.
First one.
First one. Okay. Anybody else? Anything else that they noticed? Yes, Nisha.
I felt with number 1 you were more fluid, there was more movement with the way you did it, you seemed looser, more relaxed. And with number 2 there was more rigidity and more tension, more tightening, less movement.
Tightening, less movement.
Yes.
Good, good, good. Anything else?
Narrowing of the eyes again.
Narrowing of the eyes on person.
That's on the person who disliked number 2.
Okay.
And also looking up quite a lot.
Okay. Good, good, good. Looking up.
Number 2, I saw that he threw his eyes into into feeling the thing there. It was very quick. There was no last. It's like he threw his eyes down to it and came straight back out to it.
Threw his eyes down. Okay, good calibration.
In the first one, I felt at the end, she started looking at Steve. You hurried through a little bit, like, anyway, that's the observation I interpreted. And the second one, you almost closed your eyes. It was not shared with anyone. You had to wait before you could even bring that person into the waiting for your side.
Okay, good. Charles?
In the second one, he cut down very quickly, but even though he did it on the third time very quickly, I think, I think he just wanted to, he didn't want to think about the person again, so he just did it.
Okay.
Reverse psychology. I don't know.
Okay, okay. Good. Troy, what I'd like you to do is walk this way. Not exactly this way. I'd like everybody else, please, to look at the wall. Stare at the wall. Troy, you'd like to follow me. Okay, so everybody else just face the wall. So, Troy, what I'd like you to do this time is I'd like you to select one of those people. I would like you to allow the representation of that person, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, to grow and build a strong representation, and then when you have that, amplify it. And when you've amplified it in your own time, count down again from 10 to 1, keeping the representation going as you do so.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Very much. Who is it?
2.
Number 2. Hands up for number 2. Okay. Charles, what leads you to that conclusion?
Well, I don't know try that well, but it sounded angry.
You sounded a bit specifically angry. What does that mean?
It was just a bit like.
Sound in his voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Yes.
I just felt that what I heard, the words were sharper.
Sharper.
They didn't last as long.
Shorter.
Shorter.
Okay. Good. Anybody else?
Just the structure of the count was the same as before.
Structure of the count was the same as
before when he was describing it.
Okay. So who thought number 1? Okay. Sorry? Yes, what led you to that conclusion?
I just felt that his voice had more bounce, more bounce,
more
in
bounce.
It, the tone was going up and down more.
More variety in tone.
When it was someone that he didn't like, I felt as we said before, his jaw was tight now, almost it kind of muffles the words a little bit, whereas this had more variation in it. I felt.
More variation. So, anybody else? Anything else? Sophie?
Even though he's got quite a hard voice and an assertive voice, he actually, I felt a bit softer.
Softer.
Yeah.
Softer voice. Troy, reveal all this. Just the
second one.
Just no, the person. I don't mean reveal all.
Yes. Okay. The first one was the first one, the one I like, and this one was the second one, the one I don't like.
Second one. Interesting. So we're calibrating. Thank you very much, Troy. So we're calibrating for differences, for change. We're not interpreting. We're being specific with what the calibration points were. Yeah, what the change was. Okay. So a lot of information to pick up on, a lot of points to calibrate on. It's impossible for us to not communicate. We cannot not communicate. And it's picking up the calibration points in our communication. Non-verbal communication as well as the tone and timbre of the voice.